Disclaimer, I'm using this microphone because I've been making excuses that I can't film because it's so loud in this room and I haven't got Final Cut Pro to cut out the background noise. I can film, I just have to get over holding this microphone. I don't know why it just used to cringe me out, but I hope you guys don't care because otherwise I just absolutely hate hearing the cars go past. And I know it's probably just in my head, but this is the only way that I feel like, okay, cool, you can't hear the cars, but you might be able to hear me breathing. Hi everyone. Long time no see, kind of. Maybe not for you, but definitely for me. I have not sat down in this room and filmed a video in what feels like a very long time. In reality, it's been maybe 2 months. I think the last time I sat down and filmed was in July, the end of July, when I did the kind of tour of this room. And then obviously I filmed Bath, which again was sometime in July. And since then, I've just not filmed anything. So, whilst I edited a video and put it up recently, I've actually not been filming in what feels like forever. And I have to say, it feels really, really nice to be back. But where have I been? Why have I not been filming? A quick update for those of you who care. For those of you who don't you worry. I will put a timestamp for you to skip through to the books that I read this summer, which, spoiler alert, is not many. And that's going to kind of bring me to what's been going on. I have definitely been in a huge reading slump. Like, when I say huge, I've never experienced a reading slump quite like this. Um, I mean, I'm probably being dramatic. I think for a reading slump, I still read some books. I know sometimes people read no books when they are going through a reading slump, but it's not felt nice. It's not felt good. And I'm not quite sure if I'm yet over the hump, but I'm hopeful. I've got a list of books I want to read this autumn season. I'm going to make a video about that as well for you guys to see what I'm planning to read. And whilst I also had a list for the summer and that did not go to plan, I'm more hopeful. I feel like the summer is a hard time to be on it with reading because there's so many plans, there's so many things going on that, at least in my life right now, meant that I just couldn't read. But it's autumn. I've got zilch plans, except from stuff I'll tell you in a second. And I feel like I just love reading when it's cozy anyway. So that's kind of where I've been. I've been definitely having a reading slump, but also there's been a bunch of things going on. We are currently doing a renovation in our house. I've mentioned that so many times now, but it's time. Like, they are starting in a couple of weeks. We're going to be getting the kitchen and the bathroom done, which means my brain has been filled with baths and tiles and kitchen measurements. So my brain has just not been able to digest more information because I've been spending so many evenings researching and finding out about what's the best oven, adult life. So that's one reason why I've not been making videos. Another reason, if I'm being completely transparent and open with you guys, is that just I feel like I've been a little bit in a bleh space with YouTube. I don't know why or what started it, to be honest, but I just feel like I got into my head a lot. And I think I somehow missed the great grand scheme of why I joined YouTube. And recently I've been reminded of that because I met two fellow booktubers over the last few weeks. I've met the lovely Nicole from Nicole's Nick, and I've also met the lovely Ashley from Ashley's Books. I'll link both their channels in the description if you haven't watched them, because not only are their channels amazing, they are the nicest girls, honestly, like, so lovely, so sweet, so fun to be around and talk to. And it kind of reminded me that's exactly why I joined booktube. Like, never in a million years did I think I'd meet people in real life from YouTube and booktube and make actual friendships that come off the comments and stuff. But that was obviously like an amazing thing to happen, and it's reminded me, like, I love YouTube and booktube because I love speaking to people who love to read, because a lot of my friends just don't love to read at the moment. And so yeah, that kind of reminded me, like, oh yeah, that's why I started YouTube. It's not a numbers games, and I think when you put a lot of effort into recording and editing and stuff, and you don't always get the results you wanted from the amount of effort you put in, it can be disheartening. But I think I've kind of moved past that mental block or mental barrier that I was feeling like, oh, yeah, I think I've moved past it. And that's me being completely open and transparent. And I think anyone who creates for fun maybe will relate. Hey guys, Editing Deb here. Just jumping in really quickly because I forgot to mention one of the main reasons that I've not been making videos recently, and that's because I've changed roles. So I'm still in the same company, still in the tech space, but just a different role, and that's meant that I've had to do like lots of learning and lots of reading and like even an exam and stuff. So that's been stressful, but good. I think it suits me much better than software engineering did, at least back-end software engineering. So yeah, that's another really big reason why my brain has just not been in the YouTube game, but now I've settled in for the past month or so and I feel much better. So yeah, that's like the last reason as to why I've been a bit bleh on YouTube. So the first book that I read well during this slump that I've not told you guys about is The Perfect Wife by J.P. Delaney. And this, I think this book is like all over the works. If you live in the UK, the works has books that are like really cheap. And I'm pretty sure that I bought this book when I bought like all the Flawless books as well, because I was like, oh, it's only like £2-3. I'll just buy it. It sounds pretty good. And I gave this a 3.5 stars because it actually was pretty good. I could imagine this being like a show. It's on Netflix. No, it's not. I reckon this could be like a show or a film. Probably a film because it has that like whole Black Mirror vibe. So basically, this is about a woman called Abby, and Abby dies, and she wakes up not remembering that she's dead or that she's died, and she sees her husband, and her husband tells her like, you know, you've been asleep and you're back now. And he kind of gives her the lowdown of their life, their love story, you know, how amazing of an artist she is, and just like gives her back the memories that she lost because she's just woken up being like, what's happening? Who are you? What's going on? And then he also tells her, by the way, you died. And by the way, you're not the real Abby. You are basically a robot with her memories. And stuff hits the fan because imagine being a robot, but then you actually are like one of the most intelligent robots ever, and you also have the ability to feel because her husband is not just any, you know, science robotic guy. He's like one of the most brilliant people in the world in terms of tech, and he's made the first conscious, empathetic robot that the world has seen, which is Abby. And as this says, the perfect wife. So, you know, he's created her, right? And he has created her in the image of his wife, who is currently thought to be dead, right? We think she's dead. We don't really know what's happened to her, but they've not found a body. And he just missed his wife so much that he made her into a robot. And you just kind of go on a little bit of a journey, a little bit of a exploration of how it feels to be a robot with these memories, with these feelings. Who is the real Abby now? Is it the Abby with the robot, or is it the Abby who the memories actually belong to? I don't know. So you have to go and find out what happened to the real Abby and how do I stay here? Because if the real Abby isn't dead and comes back, what's going to happen to me? And it's a journey. The only thing is, I think the ending lets it down a little bit. I wasn't that impressed with the ending because at one point I was thinking this could be a 5 star, maybe a 4 star, and then I was like, a 3.5 star. So it started off strong and it ended as a yeah, but the idea is good. The idea is really good. The next book I read is Heartless. So this is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. I keep calling it Flawless series. I know it's not called that, but I don't know why I just think about it like that. And if you don't know, the Chestnut Spring series is basically like an interconnected series of people who live like on a farm and a romance or farm cowboy story. And this book follows Willa. I was going to say Willa's best friend, but I meant the other girl's best friend from the first book. I forgot her name. I'm not a fan, clearly. But this book follows Willa, who is the best friend of the main character in Flawless. I can't remember her name right now. And is it Wade? Cade. And Cade. Cade is the brother of the guy in Flawless. Wow, I should have probably read the Flawless blurb because I am not doing a great job in remembering how these characters link. But anyway, it's a standalone book, so I don't think you need to have read Flawless, but it helps. It helps to read them in order. And basically, Cade is a single dad, so you've got the whole single dad trope. He's also very grumpy, so you've got the whole grumpy trope. But we haven't really got the grumpy sunshine trope because whilst Willa is bubbly, full of energy, she has got things going on in her own life that make some things a little bit hard for her. So she's not really a sunshine, but she kind of has a little bit of the whole golden retriever energy esque kind of, right? She somehow ends up being a nanny for the summer for his son. Because she's like, why not? I need to do something anyway, and this sounds fun. I could hang out with my bestie, and also he's hot, so whatever. But he's also a jerk to her, so they've kind of got a whole like sort of enemies. Not really, like not really. It's more like he's really, really grumpy, and she's like, "What's your problem?" And it follows their romance. And to be fair, I like this a lot more than I liked Flawless. I gave Flawless like maybe a 2.5 or was it a 3? It was quite low. I didn't love Flawless. I thought the book was just a bit blur, but this one was better. I definitely liked the characters in this one better. Cade was a little bit cringe sometimes, like typical cliche. He was so grumpy and like, he didn't let anyone in, and now cliche. But Willow, I found fun. I found her refreshing. I found her a good female character, and also I don't normally love children in books. I think that they can be done well, but they can also be done quite annoyingly. And I thought the child in this book was quite cute. Obviously, there's some interesting scenes where you're like, come on, when's a kid going to say that or behave that way? But I thought for the most part it was pretty good. So I gave this a 3.5 star, and I think I'll carry on the series. This book has convinced me to carry on. So there's that. Then I read the best book that I've read so far this year, I think. Like, I think there's probably another book I'm forgetting about, but one of the best books that I read so far this year, and oh my gosh, I don't know why I put it off for so long because this book is so good. Tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow. This was a buddy read with Nicole. Unfortunately, I got COVID like halfway through it, so I kind of like didn't get to finish it with her. But either way, it was really fun doing it as a buddy read. And also, this book is just so good. I did not think I would like it. I don't know why. I think I'm like very much if there's no romance in a book, will I like it? And as far as I knew, there was no romance in this book. And to be fair, romance is not the main theme in this book. There is like some romantic storylines, but it's not the main theme in this book at all. Instead, it's friendship, and oh my god, it was so wholesome. It was so wholesome. This book had such diverse characters. We've got someone who is very depressed, deals with depression, which is Sadie. We've got Sam, who is going through some really hard things in life. He's had a loss. He's also lost use of his legs from a car accident. And just how these two very different individuals end up becoming best friends and creating video games together. And I just did not think that would be a book. I'd be like, this is such a good book. But it is. This book sucks you in. It is so emotional. Honestly, the events they go through in this book is just, it feels like a real life friendship and real life people. They feel so relatable somehow. And because you get to read their stories from childhood to adulthood, you like feel like you're watching them grow up and watching them make mistakes and learn from their mistakes and gain life experiences. And it is such a journey. I would recommend this book to anyone. Even if you don't typically read these kind of books, I would recommend it because I don't, and I loved it. It was a 5 star, no question, no doubt. I am so happy that I read this. And fun fact, because Toby would love to tell you this, he bought this book for me really randomly on his way home from work one day. And was like, I saw this book. It was on like the best-selling section. Here you go. And I'd seen it already on BookTok and booktube, obviously. And I was like, oh yeah, I've heard about it, not bothered about it. Didn't really care to read it until recently. And he's like, see, I told you so. I told you I can find you nice books. And he was right. So 5 stars easily. The last book that I read this summer is Powerless. This is my most recent read, and to be fair, I was a little bit skeptical of reading this book ever since I heard everyone's sort of like more fresh opinions. I think when it first came out, it was so popular, everyone loved it, and now people have been like, is it all that great? And I have to say, I agree with the people who are like, is it all that great? Because I don't think it is all that great. I think it's fine. I think it's okay. I don't think it's, oh my god, the new best YA romantasy book. Like, it's just not. I gave it a 3.5 star as well, and a point 0.5 was mainly for the ending. Maybe even a 1 was mainly for the ending. I don't know, that might be a bit harsh, but this is basically a story about a girl who is an ordinary. She has no powers whatsoever, and she lives in a world where powers are very common. They are elites, and they believe that a plague came and made the ordinaries like suck the power from elites. So ordinaries are very much looked down upon and even killed for being so. So our main character, Payden, pretends that she has the power. She pretends she has the power that's like a mundane power, so she hasn't got to really do much to prove she has this power because she can kind of trick people into thinking she has this power. And she ends up being in these trials where she meets someone called Kit, and he is a prince, and he is also the future enforcer, which means that he will soon be for his brother's weapon. Okay, and he is also going to be in this trial, and they have this whole enemies. Enemies to lovers thing going on. Let me just tell you right now, there is no enemies to lovers about this book. There just really isn't, because straight away he thinks I like her, and straight away she thinks he's hot, but I can't be with him because he's my enemy because we're in trials. Like, it just, when the trope is there just to be there and not because it makes sense to the plot. This is kind of given that. It has so many tropes. It's got the whole who did this to you? We're enemies to lovers. They have the same conversation about 10 times in this book, and I just felt like dial it down a little bit, make it more organic. The relationships in this book did not feel like they were fit for the story. Like, it was more, they wrote the relationships in to be a storyline rather than these characters are actually important to the story, if that makes sense. Um, but the ending was okay. Like, I do want to know what happens, but I just didn't think it was amazing. And I think I was reading things I've already read so many times in other books with no real twist to it. So yeah, I I also think like the trial element of the book didn't make sense. Like, I didn't get the purpose of these trials, why they were happening, except from the fact that the future prince, or actually he's a prince, the future enforcer was going to prove his powers to everyone. It's stupid, right? Like, the premise of this book was kind of stupid. But I might read the second book at some point. I'm definitely in no rush to read it, but yeah, I felt a bit let down by this book, but it was still a 3.5, so it was still okay. And those are the books that I've read this summer from about June to September. I think maybe July to September. Yeah, I think it was actually July because I remember I read tomorrow in July. So yeah, these are the books that I've read. And I hopefully will be reading a lot more this month. I'm currently reading a thriller. I'm kind of channel my Halloween cozy, I don't know, fantasy, cozy, horror, not horror, I hate horror, but that kind of vibe for the autumn. And then hopefully we'll get into more like cute, cozy romances nearer to Christmas. So I'm definitely feeling like I've got some ideas of what I want to read soon, and I'm feeling much better in myself in terms of like creating YouTube videos and just not taking myself so seriously. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And if I do, I will see you there. Bye everyone.